Remember when this song taught you what love really was? Or when this other one made you think of someone special? 1969 a year many remember for revolution, change, and music that seemed to speak straight to the heart. And amid the electric guitars and explosive rhythms, songs appeared that could make you sigh, recall loves you, thought you'd forgotten, and stop time for just a few minutes. Today we're traveling back to that exact moment when a melody became memory, pure emotion, and something we could never forget. 13. Love Theme from Romeo and Juliet by Henry Mancini. It had no lyrics. It didn't need them. Henry Mancini took the main theme from Franco Zeffirelli's movie and turned it into something that transcended cinema. It was a melody that spoke directly to the heart. And even more impressive, he did it without a single word. In 1969, this instrumental piece played everywhere: weddings, romantic dinners, those moments when words weren't necessary. Remember the movie? Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting playing literature's most famous lovers. They were young, beautiful, tragic, and this music accompanied them in every scene. This instrumental became the #1 song of the year. Think about that for a second. In an era dominated by powerful vocal tracks, a wordless melody conquered the world. The romance was so strong it could make you cry without saying anything. Mancini was already a legend from his earlier work, but this theme elevated him to another level. It was music for lovers, for dreamers, for those who still believed true love existed, even if it ended in tragedy. Before we continue, we'd love to get to know you a little better. What's your name and how old are you? Drop it in the comments. Let's keep going. 12. In the Ghetto by Elvis Presley.
Morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto.
Elvis had spent years making movies many considered lightweight. To the general public, the king of rock seemed lost in Hollywood. But this song proved them wrong. It was different from anything he'd done before. It carried a deep social message, a story about poverty, repeating cycles, lives trapped by circumstance.
People, don't you understand? The child needs help.
Beyond the message, what stood out was his voice, that deep, mature, grave voice that turned every word into something sacred. Here's the detail that says it all. The lyrics were written by Mac Davis, who initially planned to offer it to other artists. But when Elvis heard it, he knew immediately it was for him. It marked his great return to artistic seriousness after years of lighthearted films. On the radio it played during quiet moments. It was perfect for those nights of reflection when you stared out the window and thought about life.
As a crowd gathers round, an angry young man face down in the street with a gun.
It wasn't a traditional love ballad. It was something bigger. It was love for humanity, compassion for those who suffer. Elvis proved he still had something important to say, and we stopped to listen. Hit that like button if you like at least one Elvis song. 11. My Cherie Amour by Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was only 19 when this melody conquered the world, but despite his youth, he was already a music veteran. And here he proved it, because the melody was pure light, sweet, optimistic, full of hope. It was impossible to hear it without smiling. And yet behind that joy was a story of heartbreak. Stevie originally wrote this for a girlfriend who had broken up with him. The initial title was different, more personal, but the record company suggested changes, and that's how the version we all know was born. Despite the pain that inspired it, the melody is so luminous it feels like falling in love for the first time. That was Stevie's magic. He could take pain and turn it into something beautiful. How many times did you dance to this song? How many times did you dedicate it to someone special? Time passes, but that feeling remains. That sweetness that made you believe everything was possible, that love could overcome any obstacle. Stevie Wonder gave us that, and we thank him forever. And Something by the Beatles. For years, Lennon and McCartney had dominated songwriting within the Beatles. They were the recognized geniuses, the brilliant minds behind the hits. But both Ringo Starr and George Harrison contributed their flashes of brilliance, and it would be the latter who created one of the Beatles' most iconic songs. This melody was different, more mature, deeper, more sincere than many of the pop songs of the era. Here's a curious detail. Frank Sinatra himself publicly said this was the greatest love song ever written. Coming from Sinatra, that was the highest praise possible. Harrison proved he could be as great as his bandmates. It's said George wrote it thinking of his wife Pattie Boyd. It was a portrait of everyday love, that connection that goes beyond words. It wasn't a grand declaration, it was subtler, more real.
Don't want to leave now. You know
That's why it connected with so many people, because we've all felt that at some point. That certainty that the person beside you is special, even if you can't exactly explain why. George Harrison taught us that the quiet one can shout every once in a while. 9. I'll Never Fall in Love Again by Tom Jones. Tom Jones was pure power. That voice pouring out of his lungs could knock down walls. In 1969, he was the quintessential male voice. Women adored him. Men wanted to be like him. And this track captured all of that. It was a heartbreak anthem, but sung with such force that it turned pain into something almost heroic. You probably remember Tom Jones was known for his intense performances, sweating so much he had to change shirts several times per show. Women threw underwear on stage. It was a phenomenon that feels like another era today, but it defined what it meant to be a male star back then. When he sang about never falling in love again, we all knew it was a lie. A man with that passion couldn't renounce love. But in that moment of pain, in that dark night of the soul, the song was perfect. It was permission to feel, to suffer, to get up afterward and move forward. Tom Jones gave voice to every broken heart, and we answered with eternal admiration. What's your favorite romantic song? Drop it in the comments so we can all listen. 8. Traces by Classics 4. That gentle intro, those first chords that instantly transported you somewhere else, they're already part of music history. Classics 4 had found a sound no one else had. It was soft rock, elegant, sophisticated, music for adults who still believed in romance. In fact, the band pioneered the genre, later known as soft rock.
the ring she used to wear.
Their producer, Buddy Bowie, had a clear vision of what he wanted to achieve. Songs that could play on the radio without being aggressive, but with enough emotional depth to last. From that vision came Traces, a song about memories, about the traces someone leaves when they walk out of your life, about those small objects that remind you of what once was. Radios of the era played it constantly. It was the soundtrack of quiet afternoons, family Sundays, those moments when life felt simpler. Today, when we hear it, we return to that time. We return to that version of ourselves, still discovering the world. The traces this creation left in our memory are impossible to erase. 7. You've Made Me So Very Happy by Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
You made me so very happy.
This band was different. They blended rock with big band brass. It was a sound unlike anything else out there. And this song was their declaration of principles. It started soft and intimate, but then it grew, expanded, until it became something grand. Not many know the original melody was written and recorded by Brenda Holloway in 1967, but it didn't succeed. A few years later, when Blood, Sweat and Tears took it, they completely reinvented it with their brass arrangements and turned it into a massive hit.
Oh, I want to thank you, baby.
It was a ballad with power. It wasn't music to sit still to. It was music to feel with your whole body. The trumpets and saxophones gave it a sophistication that connected with people who'd already left adolescence behind. It was rock for adults, romance for people who knew what they wanted. That unique blend defined an era, and this song remains its best example. 6. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head by B.J. Thomas.
Drops are falling on my head, and just
The movie was about two outlaws from the Old West, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, played by Paul Newman and Robert Redford. And amid all that adventure, this melody played in the background during a bicycle scene with a lightness that contrasted with the drama. Anyone who hears it can't help but smile.
just like the guy whose feet are too big for his.
The lyrics were written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, two of the most important songwriters of the era. Though technically released late in 1969, it exploded in popularity in 1970. It won the Oscar for Best Original Song, solidifying its place in history, a detail you might not remember.
In red, crying's not for me, 'cause
B. J. Thomas had a warm, accessible voice, like a friend whispering something in your ear. And with lyrics about optimism, about not letting problems defeat you, the combination was pure gold. It was life philosophy turned into pop, and it worked perfectly. Decades later, it's still impossible to hear without feeling a little better. 5. Jean by Oliver.
Come out to the meadow, Jean.
Oliver wasn't a known name before this song, but afterward he was etched into a whole generation's memory. It was the main theme from the British film starring Maggie Smith that you probably remember well, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, a story about an unconventional teacher and her students. But the music outlived the movie. This was written by Rod McQuinn, a poet and composer who was hugely popular at the time. McQuinn had a gentle style that connected deeply with audiences. Oliver captured that sensitivity perfectly in his performance. It was a soft ballad, like a lullaby. It had that quality of making you feel protected, of transporting you to a safe place. Many remember it as the melody that played when everything was okay, when life was simpler, when the future seemed full of promise. And even though Oliver never had another hit this big, he didn't need to. This track was enough to secure his place in history. 4. Worst That Could Happen by the Brooklyn Bridge. The drama, the orchestra, the torn voice, telling a story of lost love. This song was pure theater and it worked perfectly. The story itself was devastating. A man watches the woman he loves marry someone else, and instead of hating her, he wishes her the best. That story came from Jimmy Webb, the same genius behind other classics of the era.
It's the worst that could happen.
Webb had a special talent for creating cinematic stories within 3-minute songs, and this was no exception. The orchestral style connected deeply with Latin audiences of the time. Johnny Maestro, the vocalist, poured his whole heart into every performance. You could feel the pain, the resignation, the nobility of letting go of the one you love. It was the kind of track that made you cry without shame, because we've all lost someone. We've all watched life move on without us. We see it with resignation and at the same time with pride. This hit accompanied us through that process and did it better than any other. Subscribe to the channel if you prefer old music to today's. 3. This Girl Is a Woman Now by Gary Puckett and the Union Gap.
This girl is a woman now.
Gary Puckett had one of those voices you don't hear anymore, a powerful, deep baritone that filled every space it reached. And if there's one track that shows the power of his talent, it's definitely This Girl Is a Woman Now. In it, he talked about the passage of time, about watching someone grow, about that moment when a young girl becomes a woman.
Learning to live.
You probably remember that he and his band had a very particular image. They wore American Civil War uniforms in their performances. It was a unique visual concept that made them instantly recognizable, but beyond the image, it was Puckett's voice that kept them on the charts. It was a song about mature love, about recognizing that people change, grow, evolve. For those who heard it in 1969, it was a reminder that they were changing too. That youth doesn't last forever, that we have to appreciate every moment. Gary Puckett gave us that reflection wrapped in an unforgettable melody, one that will always have a place in our hearts. 2. This Magic Moment by Jay and the Americans. The song you're hearing was originally by the Drifters in 1960, but this version recorded 9 years later became the definitive one for an entire generation. It was the sound of prom dances, first kisses, and those moments etched forever. And it wasn't by chance, because Jay and the Americans had a special talent for taking existing songs and making them their own. Their version added urgency, passion the original didn't have. For many who grew up in that era, this is the only version they know. Remember your prom dance? This track was the soundtrack of those moments, of that magic that only exists when you're young and the world seems full of infinite possibilities. Some moments are magic, and this melody helps us remember them. 1. These Eyes by the Guess Who. And we reached number 1 from a Canadian band that conquered the world with this song. The Guess Who weren't a ballad band, they were pure rockers with strong guitars and rebellious attitude. Yet this melody showed another side, a vulnerable, emotional, heartbreaking side. Believe it or not, Burton Cummings, the vocalist, wrote the lyrics with Randy Bachman in just 20 minutes. But those 20 minutes produced something eternal. The opening piano, the vocal delivery full of pain, everything combined to create what many consider a power ballad before the term even existed. The lyrics spoke of eyes that had seen too much of a broken heart, of sleepless nights.
But they're never gonna see another one like I had with you.
It was rock with soul rock, unafraid to show weakness. To close this journey through 1969, there could be no better choice. A song that combines strength and vulnerability, everything it means to be alive and in love. And that's the end of this journey. I'll leave you here with a video of another oldies playlist if you want to keep the nostalgia going. See you next time.